Hello everyone, this is Van, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a personal use NPC replacer for Skyrim Special Edition. I do want to put it out there that I don't normally make videos like this. The only reason I'm doing it is because I've had a few people approach me asking for help, and also a couple people requested a video, so hopefully you'll get some use from it. But I apologize in advance. I'm probably going to trip over my words a lot, and my mic quality not the best, so just bear with me and we'll get through it together. Now, before we start, I do want to stress that this is for a personal use replacer. The reason why is because the mod that results from this tutorial will actually require other mods as masters in order to work properly. Typically when you see replacers on the Nexus, they don't require other mods unless it's a modded NPC, of course. But they don't require anything else. All of the assets used are within the mod itself. That's not the case for this. This is more of a quick and dirty way to do this process. So if you were to try to share this with someone and they didn't have the same textures or similar modded setup as you and they didn't have the required masters, it's not going to work. It's either going to break or look wrong or a combination of the two. So it's definitely made to be used by the person who made it for the setup that they are currently running. If you still wanted to give it a try, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing that you'll want is some tools available to you. Software-wise, you'll need a NifScope and Creation Kit, obviously. For mods, SSE engine fixes. I believe that everyone should have this mod, so if you don't already have it, get that installed. SSE creation fixes, another great mod. This one is very, very nice to have when you are messing with Creation Kit. It gets rid of some of the errors, it makes it faster, gets rid of some of the crashing, and it also adds a search function on the plugin select screen, which is heavenly, so recommend doing that. Now you'll also want to get a race menu. You probably already have that. And I use Dime's Quick Start, but any mod that skips the opening portion of the game is fine. Alternate start and equivalent to it, that's fine. But it'll make the process much easier if you don't have to go through that every single time. Dime's Quick Start I use, it just puts you right into character creation, and it's much easier to do stuff like this. So if you are replacing a modded NPC, you'll need their mod installed as well. For example, in this video, I'm actually going to be doing a Kaidan replacer. I am all too familiar with him. I have made a standalone replacer for him. It's on the Nexus, and he can be kind of a pain to replace. So a lot of people try it and have trouble with it. I figured this would be a good tutorial for them. But this tutorial will work for any modded NPC, any vanilla NPC. It's pretty much the same process. But if you have a modded NPC, make sure you have them installed. And if it's a vanilla NPC, you don't have to worry about that. So the other thing is any mods that you used to make your preset, you need those installed as well. If you have Chaos Hairdos, Eyes of Beauty, High Poly Head, anything like that they are using, you'll need those mods installed and activated. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up a new game. Perfect. If you haven't already created your preset for your replacer, I would stop the video and go ahead and do that. I'm actually going to be picking up from the replacer, I'm sorry, the preset already being made. I told you I'd trip over my words. You were warned. I'm sorry. Okay, so now that I have it open, I'm going to load him in. Perfect. I actually changed his race to a Nord. Normally Kaidan is a red guard, but I know that some people like to change the races around, and I wanted to show you an example where that could be the case so you knew how to do it. So this is one of the things that we really need to make note of. There are a few things that you do or assign that you have to write down. Once again, race being one of them. He's a Nord, I have that written down. The other thing that needs to be exact is the weight. So I actually normally have him on 85, but Race Menu seems to like to tweak the numbers when I reload the preset. But make sure that you have the weight written down, because this number for your preset needs to match Creation Kit perfectly. If it doesn't, your character will have a neck gap. The next thing you want to take note of is the skin color. You will need the R, G, and B values of the skin tone, and these have to be exact. Make sure you write them down, take a picture, whatever you need. But if these numbers do not match Creation Kit, then you will have discoloration between the neck and the body. So definitely take those numbers down. Okay. So one thing that might not apply to you, but I do want to show you, is the eyes that he currently uses. I like them, but I would like to use his original eyes. So I actually have to change the base mod in order to do that. It might not necessarily apply to you if you're not using a custom asset, but some mods with modded NPCs use custom assets that you can't see in race menu, but you would want them to retain those. Kaidan's eyes is one of them. So I'm going to show you how to make those show up in race menu. It's a very simple process, but if it doesn't apply to you, you don't need to know this part. You can go ahead and skip it. So I'm actually going to exit, just close. And in order to do the playable eyes, I am going to open Creation Kit. And it's super easy, very, very easy process. So we will let this load. And I need to select his mod. This is that search window I was telling you about, or search function rather. I'm just going to type in Kaidan. There he is. I am editing his mod, so I'm going to set it as active. Press OK. It'll load him up. And the edit that we're going to make, you can after you edit the mod, you can reinstall it if you don't want that edit to stay. But this specific edit, just making it playable, it's not going to hurt anything. It's just going to make his eyes show up. So it's not a big deal. But once it's loaded, you want to go to character and expand that, and then select head part. Since the mod is set to active, we can actually use this handy box here to only show active forms. So it's only going to show things added or edited by the Kaidan mod. So much easier to find his eyes. I'm going to open that up, and all you do, select playable, press OK, and save. Extremely simple. So now that we're done with that, I'm going to close Creation Kit. And I'm going to open up Skyrim again. Perfect. Bear with me just a second. It does take just a little bit. I have, enough mods to make it unhappy. I am trying to show a lot of different methods that might not apply to people in this video, because a lot of people like changing things around, so I'm covering as much as I can to make it as foolproof as I can. But if for some reason you guys have any issues during this process or any questions, feel free to comment on the video and I'll try to get back to it as soon as I can. And if you know me on Discord, then you can just go ahead and message me directly and I'll do my best to help. So it can be a little tricky sometimes. Very small details can cause very big waves, so it can definitely be a little intimidating. But like I said, hopefully it's pretty foolproof. So I'm going to load him back in. Now, one thing to take note of that's going to be very, very useful is this right here. This, when you load in the preset, it actually shows you what mods your preset is using. This is going to make it so easy for us to select what we need in Creation Kit. He's actually, once again, not going to be staying with these eyes. I'm about to change that. But in general, if you are using mods to edit the preset, they will show up here, and I would either take a picture or write these down for reference. So I'm going to actually have to select Browse, High Poly Head, and KS Hairdos in Creation Kit as well. I have that written down so that I know, and it'll be nice and easy. So just keep track of what your preset is using. All right, so let's go ahead and assign his eyes. Now, they should be listed in here somewhere. If you look on the lower right, you'll see the ESP that the eyes are from. And obviously, they're just his eyes, so I'm just going to try to find the Kaidan eyes. And they were right there. So it says Kaidan.esp Kaidan eyes. These are exactly the eyes that I want. Now, once again, we are just going to double check his weight, which race menu changed on me. And I'm going to set it to 85. It's very important that this number is exact. And now we are ready to export. Once you have your preset looking exactly how you want it, you have everything assigned exactly how you want it, go ahead and go to the Sculpt tab. We're going to press F5, and we're going to export him. And you can just name this whatever you want. It's a preference thing. I'm just going to call it Kaidan Tutorial. And when this exports, it's actually going to create a NIF and a DDS, the NIF being the mesh and the DDS being the texture file that he is using. So that's what we're getting out of this. Now, just for comparison's sake, I will show you what Kaidan looks like normally. This is Dime's Quick Start. Right here, this is what it does. So I'm going to type in help into the console, Kaidan, help space Kaidan, excuse me. And I'm just going to place him at me so I could take a look at him, see how he looks before I mess with him. So the command is player.place at me space the number that you see. It's got to be the NPC one, by the way. So 3800-2F9A1 space 1 because I only want to place one of them. And exit console, and he'll be right there. So this is the original Kaidan. This is what he looks like before you edit him. And just for comparison's sake, I wanted to take a look, but next time we see him, he will not look like this. He will actually look like this. So let's go ahead and take care of that. Now that you've exported everything, you can just go ahead and close the game. And if you are using MO2, the export will show up in your overwrite folder. It'll be the SKSE plugins CareGen, and it'll just show up here. If you are not using MO2, if you are a Vortex user, it actually just puts it directly into your Skyrim game folder. And the path is the same, except for this will be data. So it'll be Skyrim Special Edition, data, SKSE. So you can get them from the same path, it's just different base folders. So now that this is in here, I'm just going to copy these and put them on my desktop just to make it easier to access them. And I'm going to close this. And now I'm going to open the NIF with NIF Scope. So he will look weird, or your preset in general, your export will look funky. It'll be really worked up, but that's fine. It's not going to break anything. This is just kind of how the NIF views. It's a little weird. But go ahead and expand BS Fade node, and then NI node on the face gen. And here is kind of like a roadmap that will really help us. This is showing every single asset that your character is using. So his hair, his scar, his beard, his eyes, all of it is in here. And this will make it a lot easier for us to assign these assets in Creation Kit because we already have them written down. So very nice and useful. Next, after you get your NIF pulled up, go ahead and open Creation Kit. And we're going to get started with making the actual replacer, the fun part. Okay, so here is where writing those ESP and ESM names from your preset are helpful. We need to open every single mod that these assets are in order for these assets to pop up in Creation Kit. So I wrote mine down. Obviously, I have to use Kaidan. I'm actually not going to set him as active because this time I don't want to edit his mod, the base mod. I actually want to create a new mod that will act as a replacer mod that I load after. So don't set it as active, and it will actually prompt you to create a new ESP that you can name whatever you want. So I know I need him, and I'm also using browse. Just double click that. Poly head. And once again, this might be different for you, but just select whatever your preset had assigned to it. So those are the mods that I'm using. I'm not going to set an active file, and it will actually warn me about that, but that's fine. Just press yes. Let it load. Excuse me. And we are going to be, after this loads, we are going to be referencing this NIF during this process, so I'm going to scooch this over a little bit. Perfect. So let's give it the good old scooch. Don't actually need that. Okay, so it doesn't actually show a mod up here now because we haven't really opened a mod to edit. We are making a new one. So what you want to do is you want to find the character that you are editing, and unfortunately you can't do this active forms because we don't have an active mod set. But you can just select actor and search. Luckily for me, Kaidan is at the top, but if you want to just search a name, you can just search in here and it'll populate that. So I'm going to open Kaidan up, and the first thing that I want to do is set his base information to match. So once again, normally Kaidan is a red guard, but I actually changed him to be a Nord, and that's very important to match up. So I'm going to change this to Nord race. His height, I'm not going to mess with. You can if you want to. I'm not going to change that. But his weight, I set to 85, and this has to be exact. So just make sure that you have this information updated with what you had it set as. Okay. The next thing you want to do is go to character gen parts. And in here is actually where we are going to assign all of his assets. So now it says here, for the male head Nord, I'm actually using a high poly version, which will show up as KLH. And I need to select that in the base head parts, and it updates this drop down box. And when I select it, all I have to do is scroll down and select the head. Next is the eyes. Once again, I wanted to keep his default one, so I didn't change that. But if you did, then just make sure that you select the drop down and find the eyes in there. For his hair, I am technically keeping his base hair, but there's a hairline issue, so I'm going to actually assign the KS hairdo ones. So it's Siamese. You'll see, one note is you'll see in the NIF that there are multiple hair parts. There's a hairline that's curly scalp, and there's also Siamese HL. These are actually sub-pieces of the Siamese hair. They are already assigned to the Siamese hair, so you don't have to worry about those two. You only need to worry about the hair itself, and it will actually pull the other two with it. So I'm going to assign that hair, and then next is facial hair. He's using a high poly beard 31. Here we go. And eyebrows. I'm going to assign them just as they appear here. 01_L. Perfect. So once you have all of his parts assigned here, or your NPC's parts, excuse me, I'm going to do the skin color. So these here are the RGB values that need to be changed, and once again, just make sure that you have those exactly correct. Triple check it if you have to. I'm going to plug those in per what I had in my race menu preset. Awesome. I'm going to press OK. And that's almost it. The only thing we need to do now is, and once again, this might not apply to you, but I gave my Kaidan a scar, and I want him to have that. And that's not assigned in the same way. So if this doesn't apply to you, you can move forward. But I am going to give him a scar. So in the NIF, you'll actually see Mark's male humanoid right gash and Mark's male humanoid left gash. These are scars, and I can find those by going to, just go ahead and leave the, if you are doing scars, go ahead and leave this actor tab open for your character, because we will need that. So I'm going to find the scar under character, head parts, and you'll see a bunch of assets here that you can choose from. It's much easier to find scars if they have gash in the name, so I'm just going to type in gash, and it will only show the scar files. And what I need to do is I need to find the exact same ones. So 04 right gash right is right over my blind. Ah, here we are. So you just grab it and hold it, kind of like a drag and drop, and just put it right in there. And same thing with the next one, 04 left gash. I am in dire need of glasses, apparently. Okay, let me make sure that's right. All right, here we go. Oh, that's female. Okay, so that's definitely something to keep an eye out for. That was the female. I almost messed up. So just make sure that it is exactly as it appears or it will not work. So marks male humanoid. I need glasses apparently. I am sorry. All right, and just drag and drop, and that's all you need to do. And press OK. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and save the mod now, and since I didn't set an active file, here we are. It's going to ask me to name it as a separate ESP. So you can name yours whatever you want. I'm just going to name mine personal use Kaidan replacer, but you can put whatever you'd like here. And press save. Perfect. And that saves it to your game folder. If you're using MO2, it'll put it in the overwrite. If you're using Vortex, it will actually put it directly into your game folder, so you can find it that way. Now, one more thing that we need to do, I actually closed my object window, so I'm going to bring that back up. One more thing that we need to do is I need to export his face gen. You probably don't have to do this, but it is good practice when you're doing this. So just search forms, search for your character, and select to highlight it. You don't need to open it, and hold Control and press F4 on your keyboard, and it will ask you, do you want to confirm to export? I'm going to say yes. It'll take a few seconds to do its thing, and then it'll pop up and say done. Press OK, and that's it. So now I'm going to close this up. We just have a couple more steps and we are all set to go. I'm going to close this now as well. So now, as an MO2 user, I'm going to go to my overwrite folder, and I can now see that my new ESP is in here, as well as textures and meshes, because when it exports FaceGen, this is where it puts them. So I'm going to open up Explorer, and you'll see that now Creation Kit has exported the texture for him. Now, you'll also see that they have done it for the mesh. And I do warn you, this is not going to look right. The Creation Kit version of it doesn't look right, and that's fine. We're actually going to replace it, kind of trick it into thinking that it exported the same exact one. But we won't actually use this. So what we're going to do is we are going to move these assets. I'm just going to move them to my desktop in a new folder for now. So I'm going to paste these here so I can mess with them. And I'm going to open up the mesh. Or I'm not going to open it up. I'm going to go to it, sorry. And I'm going to copy this. So rename, copy. And that exported FaceGen, the NIF specifically, from race menu, we are going to rename it to match. And the one that Creation Kit exported is right here, but it's not the right one. That's not what we want. We want the one that race menu did, because that's the one that we created. So you rename it to match the same exact code as in here. You drag it over, drop it, and replace. Perfect. And do the same exact thing with the texture. Navigate to the texture, find it, rename it, copy that. And here's his exported from the race menu. And rename, paste, and drag and drop. And yes, I would like to replace. Perfect. So one more step that you'll want to do is to go into the NIF and just reassign the texture for his face. So if you go to expand BS Fade node, NI node, and then on his head, expand that, you'll see BS Lighting Shader Property, expand that, BSS Shader Set. Oh man, I'm feeling it, Mr. Krabs. Okay, so this right here is pulling the face texture, but this is not the right path. If you were to reinstall this mod and this was no longer in this location, it's going to break him, or whatever NPC you're doing. I keep saying him, I'm sorry. But it's going to break that NPC. So you want to make sure that this is set properly to match the texture file in your mod. So I'm actually going to navigate to the file here, and I'm going to take the path up to textures. And I'm going to put that in here, and then just complete it. So add a slash, and then type in the name that you see here, the exact same name. Oops. And just make sure that it is exactly the same or it will break. So triple check this. And that's exactly how you want it to look. You want it to pull the texture that is within this mod. You don't want it pulling from the Kaidan presets and stuff. So perfect. Once you do that, just go ahead and save it. Exit. And now we can zip it up. So I have 7-zip. I'm just going to zip it into a new mod, and I'm going to call it, I'll just call it Kaidan Replacer Tutorial, but you can name it whatever you want. Perfect. And now we assign it like any other mod. So we can close this, file, install, and it automatically put me there. And press OK. Name it whatever you want. And just make sure that it is loading after the Kaidan mod. So I'm actually going to move it up just in case. I think it was around 400 on mine. But just find Kaidan and make sure that it loads after him. Activate it. It looks like it is being overwritten. Ah, yes. So make sure that you'll get this if you forget, like me, to delete the stuff from this file. Now that we've made it into its own mod, we don't need these in here. And we are good to go. Close. Perfect. All right, so that little symbol went away, which is good news for us. So you want to make sure that your replacer loads after the Kaidan 2 mod here, as well as in the actual mod list. It'll show up at the bottom. Make sure that it's activated, and then just make sure that it loads after. I'm just going to type him in. He's on 91, so I'm going to send to priority 92. Just like that. And that will make sure that my replacer is overwriting him. And now we just open up and test. Just make sure he's working. So just a heads up, I didn't actually pull it up to take a look at it, but if you have any war paints assigned to the character, when you put them on the character in race menu and then export it, that is what the DDS file will have. So the DDS, or the texture file, will actually have those war paints already on the face. So don't worry about pulling those up in Creation Kit. It's not necessary. They are already on the face as long as you exported from race menu, with the war paints already assigned. So I'm going to go ahead and start a new game. And I want to bring him up just to test him. So this doesn't matter. I'm just going to press OK. We'll go with Ralof this time, sure. Okay. And now you want to pull them up. So once again, if you don't remember their number, just type in help space their name. And under NPC, you'll see their number. And I'm going to type in player.placeAtMe and the number. Perfect. And now let's take a look. And there you go. So just make sure that you have everything correct, and it's pretty foolproof. You just need to double check everything. Once again, like the weight, the skin tone, all of that. Just make sure that it is all placed exactly how you had it on the race menu preset and exactly how you have it in Creation Kit. It needs to match. If it doesn't, that's where you get some funky issues. And like I said, if you need help, if you have any questions, or if something's not working right, or you need me to explain anything, just comment on the video or message me on Discord if you know me on Discord, and I will do my best to help you. For the next seam on this, you don't have to worry about it if you're making a Kaidan replacer specifically. The seam is here because he is put into these pants, which have a body texture included. Once he changes clothes, he'll just use whatever texture you already have installed. So not that it applies to everyone, but for those who are concerned, don't worry about this. So I hope you found this helpful. Like I said, I'm not very good at it. I'm sorry I stumbled over my words so much, but I really do hope that you guys got some use out of this. And definitely show me your replacers. Post screenshots, PM me, show me what they look like. I'd love to see what you guys came up with. So I hope you found some use, and I hope you guys have a good day. Please stay safe. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.